Imagine a billionaire, Ethan Caldwell, a man whose name is synonymous with success, striding through life with the confidence of someone who's conquered tech startups, real estate empires, and stock market gambles. His face graces the covers of Forbes, his deals are dissected on CNBC, and his private jets crisscross the globe. But beneath the polished exterior lies a secret that gnaws at him. Ethan barely knows his own son. Noah, his 3-year-old, is the center of his world, yet Ethan's relentless schedule keeps him away for weeks, sometimes months, leaving Noah in the care of nannies and staff. When Ethan returns home unannounced one night, expecting to find his son alone and crying, he's stopped dead in his tracks by a sight that flips his world upside down. His maid, Rosa, a woman he's barely noticed, feeding Noah in the dead of night, whispering words that hit him like a freight train. What she says next doesn't just break his heart. It shatters his entire perspective on love, trust, and the people we overlook every day. This isn't just a story about a billionaire and his maid, it's a raw, emotional journey that will grab your heart and hold it tight. Stick around, because you won't believe the depth of this revelation. Ethan Caldwell, 38, built his empire from the ground up. Born in a small Midwest town, he clawed his way to the top with a tech startup that revolutionized data storage, followed by savvy real estate investments and stock market wins that made him a billionaire by 35. His Manhattan penthouse, sprawling Hamptons mansion, and fleet of luxury cars were the envy of many, but they came at a cost. Ethan's life was a whirlwind of boardrooms, international flights, and high-stakes deals, leaving little room for the one thing that mattered most, his son, Noah. Noah's mother, Emily, died during childbirth, a loss that left Ethan reeling and unprepared for single fatherhood. He loved Noah fiercely, but love from a distance was all he could manage. His guilt was a constant companion, a heavy weight he carried alongside his wealth. To keep his life running smoothly, Ethan employed a small army of staff, personal assistants, chefs, tutors, and a live-in nanny, Claire, who was tasked with Noah's day-to-day care. Then there was Rosa, a 52-year-old maid from Guatemala, hired through an elite agency to maintain the Hamptons mansion. Rosa was a quiet presence, her days filled with dusting chandeliers, polishing marble floors, and keeping the sprawling estate spotless. To Ethan, she was a name on a payroll, a figure in the background who came and went without fanfare. He knew she was reliable, her references were glowing, but beyond that, Rosa was invisible, just another piece of the machinery that kept his life in order. He never stopped to wonder about her story, her dreams, or the heart behind her work. But life has a way of appending even the most carefully constructed plans. On a rare whim, Ethan wrapped up a deal in Dubai early and decided to surprise Noah. He caught a red-eye flight, landing at 1 a.m., his heart buzzing with anticipation. He imagined scooping Noah up, seeing his son's toothy grin, and hearing that joyful, "Daddy," that made every grueling trip worthwhile. As his driver pulled up to the mansion's grand gates, Ethan's mind was already in Noah's nursery, picturing a bedtime story or a quiet moment together. But what he found when he stepped through those double doors was something far more profound, and it would change him forever. The mansion was dark, its vast halls silent except for a faint hum from the kitchen. Ethan set his briefcase down, his polished shoes echoing softly on the hardwood. Then he heard it, Noah's cries, sharp and desperate, piercing the quiet. His stomach dropped. Noah should have been asleep, tucked safely in his crib. Ethan's pace quickened, his mind racing with worry. Was Noah sick? Was Claire neglecting him? As he neared the kitchen, another sound layered over Noah's whimpers, a voice, soft and melodic, weaving English and Spanish in a soothing cadence. It was Rosa. Ethan froze in the doorway, his breath catching in his throat. Under the warm glow of a pendant light, Rosa sat at the kitchen island, Noah cradled in her lap. The toddler's cheeks were streaked with tears, his small hands gripping a bottle that Rosa held with steady care. She fed him slowly, her movements gentle, as if Noah were made of glass. Between sips, she whispered to him, her voice a balm that calmed his cries. Ethan couldn't catch every word, but the tenderness in her tone was unmistakable. It was the sound of love, pure and unguarded. This wasn't just a maid doing a favor. This was a woman pouring her heart into a child who wasn't hers. Ethan's chest tightened, his emotions a tangle of awe and confusion. Rosa wasn't supposed to be here. Her contract was clear: clean the house, nothing more. Feeding Noah, comforting him at 2 a.m., that was Claire's job. The nanny Ethan paid a small fortune to ensure Noah's care. Where was Claire? Why was Rosa, of all people, holding his son like he was her own? Ethan's instincts as a father warred with his curiosity. Part of him wanted to storm in, demand answers, but another part, the part that felt the ache of Rosa's kindness, kept him rooted in place. He stepped closer, quiet as a shadow, and that's when Rosa's words hit him like a thunderbolt, unraveling everything he thought he knew. Trust is a fragile thing, especially for someone like Ethan. When you're a billionaire, the world is full of people angling for a piece of you, your money, your influence, your time. Ethan learned early to keep his guard up, to trust sparingly. But trusting someone with Noah? That was a different beast entirely. Noah was his heart, his reason for pushing through the endless grind. Ethan had vetted Claire meticulously, months of interviews, background checks, references, even a trial period. She was the gold standard, or so he believed. Rosa, on the other hand, was just the maid. He knew her name, her schedule, maybe her country of origin, but that was it. She was a stranger, a hired hand, someone he passed in the halls without a second thought. The numbers paint a stark picture. According to a 2021 study from the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development, 68% of parents with young children feel anxious about leaving their kids with caregivers, even those with impeccable credentials. A 2023 Care.com survey found that 1 in 5 parents have caught a nanny or babysitter doing something unexpected, from neglecting duties to outright abandoning their kids. Ethan wasn't paranoid. He was a father in a world where trust is a luxury, and betrayal can come at a high cost. He'd built walls around his heart, not just to protect himself but to shield Noah from a world that could be cruel and opportunistic. Seeing Rosa with Noah wasn't just a shock, it was a reckoning. This woman, who he'd barely registered, was stepping into a role she wasn't paid for, showing a level of care that went beyond any contract. It forced Ethan to confront his assumptions. Had he been wrong about Rosa? About Claire? About the people he surrounded himself with? The moment raised bigger questions. How do you trust someone with your child when the world teaches you to trust no one? And what does it mean when a stranger's kindness exposes the gaps in your own life? Rosa's actions weren't just a moment of compassion, they were a mirror, reflecting Ethan's absence and the humanity he'd overlooked. Ethan didn't interrupt. He stood in the shadows, watching as Rosa wiped a dribble of milk from Noah's chin, her hands steady and practiced. Noah's cries had softened into quiet coos, his small body relaxing against her. Rosa whispered again, her words now clear, "Estás bien, pequeño. I'm here for you." The tenderness in her voice was like a lullaby, wrapping Noah in a cocoon of safety. When he finished the bottle, Rosa didn't rush to put him down. She rocked him gently, humming a Guatemalan folk tune that Ethan didn't recognize, until Noah's eyes fluttered shut, his breathing slow and even. Only then did she stand, cradling him as she moved toward the nursery. That's when she saw Ethan. "Mr. Caldwell," she gasped, nearly dropping the empty bottle. "I didn't know you were home." Her eyes were wide, a mix of surprise and worry, but she didn't falter. Ethan's voice was hoarse, caught in a storm of emotions. "Rosa, what's going on? Where's Claire?" Rosa explained, her voice calm but tinged with concern. Claire had called her around midnight, frantic. Her mother had been hospitalized after a fall, and she had to leave immediately. Rosa, who lived just 20 minutes away and had a key for cleaning days, offered to step in. "Noah was crying when I got here," she said softly. "He was hungry, scared. I couldn't leave him like that. She paused, then added, I hope I didn't overstep. Ethan was floored. Rosa wasn't on duty. She wasn't paid to play nanny. She could have said no, let Claire sort it out, and gone back to sleep. Instead, she'd driven over in the middle of the night, no hesitation, no expectation of reward. Ethan pressed her, his voice trembling. Why, Rosa? Why do this? Rosa looked at Noah, now asleep in her arms, and her face softened. I raised 3 kids alone, she said. My youngest, Anna, was like Noah. Always needing me at night. I know what it's like to feel helpless, to want someone to make it better. I couldn't let him feel that way. Those words opened a floodgate. Over the next few days, Ethan learned Rosa's story, piece by piece. She'd fled Guatemala in her 20s, escaping a dangerous situation with her 3 young children and little more than a suitcase. In the U.S., she'd worked tirelessly, cleaning houses, washing dishes, caregiving, to give her kids a better life. Her oldest was now a teacher, her middle son a mechanic, and Anna, her youngest, was studying art in college. Rosa's life was a testament to resilience, woven with sacrifice and an unshakable love for her family. Ethan felt a wave of shame. How had he missed this? How had he reduced a woman with such depth to just the maid? Rosa's act of kindness wasn't just about feeding Noah, it was about why she did it. She didn't see Noah as the billionaire's son, a task to check off or a way to curry favor. She saw a scared little boy who needed comfort, and she acted from a place of pure humanity. That's what made the moment so powerful. It wasn't about money, status, or obligation. It was about heart, about recognizing someone's pain and choosing to step in, no matter the cost. Research supports this. A 2022 study in the Journal of Social Psychology found that unexpected acts of kindness create a ripple effect, transforming not just the recipient but the giver and those who witness it. Rosa's choice to show up for Noah wasn't just a gift to him, it was a reflection of her soul, a beacon of compassion in a world that often feels cold and transactional. For Ethan, it was a wake-up call. He'd been so consumed by his empire, meetings, deals, the weight of being Ethan Caldwell, billionaire, that he'd forgotten to see the people behind the roles. Rosa wasn't just a maid, she was a mother, a survivor, a woman whose kindness carried the weight of a life well lived. Ethan started making changes, small but meaningful. He talked to Rosa more, not about cleaning schedules but about her life, her kids, her love of gardening, the roses she grew in her modest backyard. He raised her pay, not as a transaction but because he saw her value in a new light. He invited her to stay for meals, and Noah's face would light up when Rosa entered the room, her presence a comfort that Ethan envied. Her Spanish lullabies became a nightly ritual, and Ethan even tried singing along, laughing at his clumsy pronunciation while Noah giggled. These moments were small, but they built something bigger, a connection that transcended employer and employee, a bridge between 2 lives that had been worlds apart. Yet guilt still haunted Ethan. Every time he boarded a plane for work, he felt the sting of leaving Noah behind. Rosa's effortless care only deepened his doubts. Was he enough for Noah? Could he ever be the father his son deserved? Those questions kept him awake at night, a quiet torment familiar to any parent who's ever feared they're falling short. The real test came months later. Ethan was called to Singapore for a 6-month project, a deal that could redefine his company's future. Leaving Noah again felt like a betrayal, a knife twisting in his chest. Claire was back, reliable as ever, but Ethan knew she couldn't replace what Noah needed most, a sense of home. One evening, he sat Rosa down in the living room, his hands unsteady. Rosa, I need to ask you something huge, he said, his voice thick. Would you be Noah's full-time caregiver while I'm gone? Not just cleaning, but being there for him, every day, like family? Rosa went still, her eyes searching his face. Then she spoke, her voice steady but heavy with emotion. Mr. Caldwell, I'd do anything for Noah. I love him like he's my own. But you need to know, he doesn't just need me. He needs you. I'll keep him safe, I'll sing to him, I'll hold him when he cries. But you're his home. You're the one he dreams about. Those words broke Ethan. He'd spent years building an empire, telling himself it was for Noah, but Rosa saw the truth he'd been dodging. Noah didn't need wealth or status. He needed his father's presence, his love, his time. Tears streamed down Ethan's face, raw and unfiltered. Rosa didn't look away, she reached out, her hand resting on his, just as she'd done for Noah that night in the kitchen. In that moment, Ethan knew he could trust her, not just with Noah's care but with the weight of his own vulnerabilities. Rosa wasn't just a caregiver, she was a lifeline, a reminder of what it means to be human. Over the next 6 months, Rosa became Noah's anchor. She sent Ethan daily updates, videos of Noah laughing at the park, photos of him smearing paint on a canvas, recordings of her lullabies that made Ethan's heart ache with gratitude. She taught Noah new words in Spanish, took him to the zoo, and tucked him in every night with stories of her childhood in Guatemala. When Ethan returned, Noah ran to him, his small arms wrapping around his legs, but he also ran to Rosa, his joy spilling over. Ethan didn't feel a pang of jealousy. He felt complete, knowing his son was loved in a way he'd never thought possible. This story isn't just about a billionaire and his maid, it's about what happens when we truly see the people around us. Rosa didn't have to feed Noah that night. She didn't have to drive over at midnight, share her story, or step into a role she wasn't paid for. But she did, and it changed everything. Her kindness built a bridge to Ethan, showing him that the people we overlook, the ones we reduce to a job title or a passing glance, might hold the key to our deepest transformations. The lesson is simple but profound: slow down and look closer. The person cleaning your house, pouring your coffee, or crossing your path has a story, a heart, maybe a lullaby for someone who needs it. Trust isn't just about contracts or credentials, it's about recognizing someone's soul. Rosa's was radiant that night, and it reshaped Ethan's world. It showed him that love and connection can come from the most unexpected places, and that the people we least expect might be the ones who teach us what matters most. So, the next time you're quick to judge or dismiss, think of Rosa. Think of a woman who fed a crying boy and spoke words that broke a billionaire's heart wide open. Think of a father who learned that wealth means nothing without presence. And ask yourself, who's showing up for the people in your life when you're not looking? Their kindness might just be the spark that changes everything.